Romy's been a nasty boy. Romy's been a nasty
Okay,
boy.
all right.
Yeah.
How nasty. Romy's been a nasty boy. I'm in. Romy's been a nasty.
Yeah, exactly.
How nasty.
Romy's been a nasty boy.
A little bit more that way
Romy's
because we're
been a
really,
nasty boy.
okay.
What do you think women find more unattractive, magic or like being a mime? I'm trying to get into one of those. And
I would say magic.
Magic?
Is more unattractive.
Magic is more unattractive?
People have spoken.
What if I know a few pretty cool tricks though?
Just
a mime?
know. Just know.
Think of that. A mime?
You're good with your hands.
Oh!
This is my boyfriend.
This is my boyfriend.
And you don't talk the whole time
No,
you're
of
meeting her
course not.
friends.
That's better than, oh, this is my boyfriend. Shine! He brings out a bouquet. All the magicians and the mimes are going to be very upset though.
Also, how much do they have to harass you while you're miming for you to...
Hey, come on, bro. Leave me alone. Hey, don't touch my shit, man. I'm miming here. I'm miming here, all right?
I'm miming over here.
Miming over here. Don't touch my shit. So if you guys are listening to this, you're either trying to get more fit or you're looking to begin your fitness journey.
Today, we're going to talk about 3 of the biggest mistakes you can make when you're either starting your fitness journey or trying to become fit. But not just that, stick around to the end because we're going to tell you how to avoid them and what to do instead.
Practical tips, as usual. You guys know I'm Victor and that's Julian. I don't let him introduce himself anymore. You guys have seen what happens in the past. He's shunned. We're here not by any sort of dump. We're here in Be Fit Miami Lakes, our favorite place to be. There's no garbage cans within a 5-mile radius. Tony's Pizza,
Palm
La
Springs
Vaquita.
North,
You know where we're at already.
all the staples.
Come work out with us. All right, as usual, we try to get right into the action. So let's start with right away with number 1. What's the number 1 mistake that you feel people make as they're starting their fitness journey?
So the first mistake I would say starts before you even pick up a dumbbell or put on your pair of running shoes. And that's not doing the research beforehand to understand exactly what's required to even reach your goal.
And why would you say that's important? Why should people be educating themselves before they even begin something?
There's a few reasons, but first, let's paint the picture. How do you think most people, how is it that, let's say I want to get fit, what do you think that most people do? Like, what are they going based off of? I'll tell you what I think, but.
I would say a lot of it is based on social media. So
Yep,
maybe
that's
they'll
on my
get
list.
their favorite influencer and be like, oh, I'm going to sign up to a gym and do Stephanie's little workout. And Stephanie is probably leaps and bounds more advanced or doing more advanced things than they are.
Yeah, Stephanie could be great. She could be a fantastic trainer or could have a lot of knowledge or could be a complete scam artist you really don't know.
Yeah.
But I would say that there's layers to how people are influenced. And I say that the number 1 layer is your friends and family, like your immediate circle.
Yeah.
Your best friend, Jenny, just lost a bunch of weight. She's been doing this thing, this special diet from God knows where in Hialeah. And it's like, wow, Jenny, you look fantastic. What have you been doing? Oh, I've been doing this thing. You got to go do it. I think that that's by far the number 1 thing, the number 1 method that people use. It's what did my friend use that got them results?
And we know that firsthand because that's our biggest point of new clients.
Yeah,
is
referrals.
Referrals. Is word of mouth. It's like, oh, my friend's doing this. They love it, which they do. And so like you got to come try it with me. And that's like you said, that's definitely number 1. Or if your friend's a CrossFitter, the odds of you trying CrossFit are much higher than somebody
sure.
who's not doing anything.
And the problem with this is that if you don't do research before you do something, it's a very easy way to get bamboozled, right? Because anyone can tell you, I did this thing, I took this pill, I'm on this plan, it's the only thing that's gotten me results. Like they'll swear by it and they can be very persuasive. And if you don't know any better, you're just gonna take their word for it.
Face value, absolutely. I think that's why a lot of the people are like, oh, HIIT, HIIT is the only way because look at all the weight I lost doing it. It's like, well, you had no prior exercise knowledge. You had never done anything. So of course, anything you do, taking out the trash with a heavy enough bag is gonna make you lose weight. So like you said, that misinformation could be misleading to people if they're not aware of a more efficient way to do things.
Mm-hmm. So why can it be?
Why is it?
So there's a few reasons why I have a problem with just doing what your friend did. Number 1 is everyone's different. That sounds obvious, but people forget. And you'd be surprised how many people come to us because they saw one person had a transformation of this X, Y, Z. But you really can't compare yourself to anybody else for many reasons. Number 2 is you don't really know what the person is secretly doing. That's a big problem nowadays. You know,
I won't tell.
It's like, you know, back in the day, it was broccoli and broccoli and chicken.
Yeah.
You know, when the dudes were secretly on steroids.
Yeah.
Now
Broccoli
it's the
chicken.
yeah. Now I've just been working out a
Well,
lot.
Been working out.
You really, I can tell you, I've been doing this for a long time. You really don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and you might see somebody that like lost weight. They're gonna tell you that they've been dieting and exercising. Maybe they have, but you don't know if they're taking something, if they're on some sort of stack, if they're either on steroids or Ozempic or something like that. So you really don't know.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a point of shame for a lot of people. So even if they're a close friend, they don't want to admit to you, like unless it's somebody that's very open. Usually people keep these things like kind of under wraps, like because we all want people to think we're working hard and not that we're taking like kind of
a
the
shortcut.
quote unquote shortcut. So yeah, it's something that not everybody's gonna admit to you. So yeah,
You can keep that. I just wanted to.
dangerous. Take the other. You're dead inside. You're dead inside. Can you tell me why all the pretty girls walk like this?
How do they walk?
Show me how you think.
I wish you had one of those little. I just learned that people are buying those now. Those little walking things.
Oh yeah.
What do they call them? Walking pad.
Treadmill? Like a
Shout out to
walker?
Rain for teaching me that. Thank you, Rain, for always teaching me things. I think they walk
Pretty
like.
girls walk like this. Terrible. Come back.
Wait, you haven't seen the butt.
This. Okay, that's
I
not
feel like
so bad.
a cartoon hippo.
Yeah, you look like in Madagascar when he comes out of water.
Yeah,
Boom, boom.
exactly. So the real problem with this is anyone can trick you. Anyone can bamboozle you.
Charlatans.
There's a lot of them now with social media. And you know what the other thing is? Like, they're very persuasive.
A short aside, when we're going around introducing ourselves to people here, because we're trying to be like friendly with the community, there was, I don't know if you guys remember this thing called Herbalife. That was not a pyramid scheme. It was an upside down triangle scheme. And
Multi-level
marketing scheme, sorry. I was going around telling people like, oh, come try a class with us, whatever, work out. And I found myself being sold by them. They sat me down, gave me a shake.
you.
Before I knew it, I was like, how the f did I end up here? How am I being sold to?
And
And
you're
they
the
were
trainer.
very persuasive.
And
I didn't sign up, but they were very persuasive.
And they didn't know anything about training. They were just
No.
in it. Don't do that.
I'm shouting at them.
No. So like, for example, I studied exercise science at school at the graduate level. And
You did?
once you understand the basics of like physiology, no one can trick you into making some bogus claim. For example, if you tell me I can get you 10 pounds I can make you build 10 pounds of muscle in a month, like knowing and understanding how the body builds muscle, what's required, the caloric intake you have to have, all these things, I'm like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
So boom, I could just filter out the BS right away.
Yeah, that's why we're so skeptical. And it's like we see these Hollywood guys, it's like, this guy put on 20 pounds of muscles in 2 months. And we're like, it's like, oh, I was on a very rigid workout plan. People have the nerve, the unmitigated gall to ask us, did Kumail take steroids? Like, no, he did it all naturally. Like, yeah, like you said, once you know a little bit about the field, you're able to filter out the BS. And Hollywood is all BS.
And you don't need to study exercise physiology to understand this stuff. It's just do the basic research. Okay, my goal is to lose 10 pounds of fat. Maybe lean out a little bit. What's required? Look around, like do some digging. Don't just go based off whatever first gym you walked into. Even trainers are
they're trying
guilty.
to sell. They're trying to sell themselves.
Exactly.
So they're gonna promise you, make false promises. We never do. Sometimes to our demise. Like,
Yeah, sometimes people come in with an unrealistic goal, and we
tell
just
them-
tell them straight up, hey, listen,
Yeah,
like
it's
that's just not the way that the body works. I wish it did, but
a quick Google search will tell you it's healthy to lose maybe 2 pounds of fat a week.
if you're very overweight, if you're not, it's even less than that.
Yeah, so imagine that. Somebody comes up to us, oh, I need to lose 20 pounds by my wedding next month. We're like, plastic surgery? That's the only
Cut off your leg. So in other words, knowledge is power. Once you're armed yourself with the knowledge of those basic principles, like I said, you become a filter, right? That's why people would be surprised. I only follow and trust no more than maybe 20, 25 people in the entire fitness industry that I know, like I'm sure there's more than that, but there's just so many that are just like, okay, unqualified, this person's full of, here's one of the things with social media. And by the way, if you want to go deep into like the dangers of social media and how it affects our body image, we did another podcast like 3 podcasts ago. Go check that out. That's a really good one. But I see a lot of people that clearly built their physiques off of strength training and dieting and certain things that they're super muscular. But what they're doing online is they're doing like these little no equipment needed. Why? Because they could reach more people that way. Like, you don't need to join a gym. But I'm looking at them and I'm like, motherfucker, you built that
clearly
physique
went to a
with
gym.
a lot of weight training.
Yeah.
Do not be telling people that you can build this muscular, ripped, lean physique without any weights, because that's just not true.
Yeah.
So
And
again,
social media
I know that, you know
Yeah.
that, because we're educated on that front, but the average person doesn't.
Yeah, and social media is just like going for what's sexy. So it's like an exercise that looks cool, or like a hit circuit that you could do at home. And realistically, those people are not training like that. Those people are doing boring shit that they're not posting online. They're 4 sets of back squats. They're single arm rows. Who wants to see a guy doing single arm rows? Who wants to see like it just doesn't
Great
sell?
point.
It doesn't draw eyeballs. So
Great point. Like if we were to post our workouts that we've been doing for as long as we've been
So
weight
boring.
training, it's a lot of the same. We do pull-ups every week. We do
Love 'em.
some sort of squat or Bulgarian or lunge every week. We don't have to do something fancy, standing on top of a BOSU, but that gets eyeballs on social media. So once you are armed with that knowledge, you'll understand that, for example, if you're trying to lose weight, weight fluctuates. It's normal to fluctuate. Instead of being discouraged because you saw you went up
back
a
to
pound from
yeah.
yesterday, you'll understand that, like you just said, it's better to do the same basic strength training exercises and repeat them and do progressive overload than just try something new every single week. So again, once you know that, then no one can bamboozle you. No, slick, fast-talking person come in and like, no, because this is the best. This wood massage thing burns the fat on top of this. A thing, by the way.
Oh, our exercises get you to the fat burning zone, and that's what you want to be. You want to be in that fat burning zone. What does that even mean, bro? The fat burning zone is like
And also, like,
the gym.
it's never. This is what I can't fathom, is that it's never been easier to just get on your phone and look things up. You have now ChatGPT. You have
my boy.
all these resources that you can just go in and fact check. Like we talked about cryo and cold stuff on the last podcast. Somebody asked me one day, hey, they've been telling me that the cryo, this and that, this and that. And I said, it was a little condescending, and I apologize because it's me. But I pulled out my phone and I'm like, let's find out.
Well,
What is the scientific evidence behind
whole-
cryotherapy? And literally, Google just tells you there's mixed results. It doesn't really do this. People say, and I'm like, why couldn't you have done that?
yeah, people would rather somebody tell them things, even if it's a lie, which doesn't make sense to me, because you're going to be sold whether by somebody that doesn't support a cold plunge or somebody that's selling it to you. So either way, you're better off looking the information up yourself. There's a whole website called Let Me Google That For You, which you sarcastically
Bunch
send
of
to people.
a-holes like me.
Yeah, when they ask you things like that.
So there's a quote that says, don't ever ask a barber if you need a haircut.
They're like, oh, for sure, bro, I can shape you up. Like, you clearly just got one.
Incentives.
But I can definitely fix
Shout
you
out
up
to
right
my barber,
here.
though. Jay,
Yeah.
that's my boy.
Hell yeah, that guy's
PSN,
awesome.
part of the community. He's been here for years.
Good fellas. Look
Good
them up.
fellas, baby.
They're
Let's
good,
go.
They're good fellas. And number 2 goes hand in hand with number 1. Hand in hand with number 1, and that's setting unrealistic goals and expectations. Go.
Bye.
Have a good one.
The reason this relates to what we just talked about is because if you have a goal that's very ambitious or very, let's just say, unrealistic, like that doesn't make any sense from a physiological or biological standpoint. You obviously haven't done the work, the research that we just talked about to understand how this works. So then you're like, I think I could lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and when you haven't lost one, you're freaking out and you're scrambling, and this must not be the answer. Like, we've had people train with us for a month, like, I haven't really dropped anything, so this is really not for me. And it's like, well, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way, but like, that's just, like you said, that's an unrealistic expectation you set for yourself.
Exactly. It all starts with the goal,
Yeah.
right? The goal is important because that's what you're chasing after. And there are 2 main reasons I would say why people quit in fitness. Number 1 is they get discouraged by the lack of results that they're quote unquote not seeing, because half the time they are seeing results, they just have, unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, the results are not the ones they're looking
What
for.
they wanted, right? So
Yeah.
they just stop. They're like, screw this isn't working. And number 2 is they take on way too much, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, but they take on way too much to get burnt out and they can't continue with it. Both of these things can be avoided by not making this mistake, by setting realistic goals, having the right expectations, knowing how long this is going to take, how this process works. That way you're like, oh, it's normal that my weight is fluctuating. Oh, I only lost a pound this week. Turns out that's actually in the recommended amount that you should be losing.
Yeah, and that's something that, as far as as trainers go, that's something that we do on the first session. We ask people, well, do you have any physical ailments and anything like that? And what are your goals and expectations? That way, if you have unrealistic ones, a good trainer will tell you right away, like, no, that's not gonna happen. Let's bring those down a little bit. Our favorite is when somebody comes in and their goals are like, I just want to be healthier. Like I want to be stronger. That's guaranteed. Like there's no.
And what's even better than that is when they say they don't have a time frame for it.
Beautiful.
Because I have a problem with, I wanted to talk about it later, but I might as well talk about it now with the whole deadline thing. I want to lose 20 pounds by this way. It's like, you're going to do whatever you can to manipulate the system to get you to that by some arbitrary number.
Yeah.
But the body doesn't really work that way. Now, if you're the type that wants to build good habits, guess what? Everything else is going to come from that foundation. But if you come in with the mentality, like you just said, of, I just want to get back into training. I want to be consistent. I've struggled in the past. I want to make physical activity a part of my life. I want to eat a little bit healthier. Beautiful, because now you're not telling me I need to lose 10 pounds in a month. Because, by the way, that's how you get bamboozled. You go to any one of these snake oil salesmen and you tell them, I want to lose 10 pounds. I got you. You know what? You're going to lose 15 pounds with my pill or product.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I didn't really realize this till now, but that's why trainers are important, because we go through all these steps, right? We make sure you don't make these mistakes. Absolutely. First thing we do is we educate. We say, this is how much it takes as far as like a caloric restriction to lose 1 pound of fat. You know, a pound of fat is about 3,500 calories. That's something that I don't care how much you try to sell me, like that's a fact of nature, right? So I'm educating you, I'm teaching you why your goal may be unrealistic, and I'm still encouraging you. You're still gonna make a lot of progress in many different ways, but it might take a little bit longer than maybe you had thought.
Yeah, I don't want people to come at it and say that we're looking at it like pessimistically. We're being realistic, we're using evidence, we're doing the due diligence to let you know, like, hey, this is okay, this is a healthy way, these are the proper steps, not this guy's telling you to go out and lock yourself in your car. Again, I mentioned that same example. And you're gonna lose 10 pounds, but guess what? You drink a glass of water and you're right back. Like, trust us, there are reasons for our madness. There's reasons we tell you these things, and it's not from a pessimistic or a cynical point of view.
Yeah, and I think that it's just an inevitable fact that some people are gonna want to be told what they wanna hear. Like, I want this thing so bad. The more you desire something, the more you're like vulnerable, right? That's how people get into like
for sure. Get rich quick schemes.
Yeah, I always butcher that.
Rich schemes.
Get quick rich.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like the more you desire, like I need to make money. I need to make money. We're like, oh, this person's telling me that they're giving me this nice presentation. Oh yeah, I'll get into it. And then you realize the truth. It's the same with fitness. Like the more desperate, the more vulnerable you are,
the easier you
somebody's
are
selling you something.
For the salesman.
So I feel like we've attracted the way that we do things, and a lot of other like professional trainers is, hey, I'm gonna give it to you straight. I'm gonna tell you the truth, even if it means losing some people, because they're not gonna want to hear that. I don't want to hear that it takes me 2 years to get my first pull up.
Like, I want to do it right away. I told somebody that this morning. I was like, she's getting married in December, and I told her, by your 2-year anniversary for your wedding, I want you doing a pull up. She's like, and instead of telling me that, this is why our clients are the best. Instead of telling me that's a long time, she told me, that would be awesome. I've never done a pull up in my life, and I was like,
love that.
Beautiful. That's exactly what I want to hear. And that's what we want to achieve. Adding to this, a lot of the people in our field, a lot of the trainers don't help us. They don't help our cause because, like you said, you follow 20-something reputable trainers out of the hundreds of thousands. So we get a bad rep because of these like 90% or 80% of charlatans that are trying to sell you like, oh, that guy's training you for $80 an hour. I'll do it for $50. And he's guaranteeing you, he's not guaranteeing anything. I guarantee you'll lose 5 pounds in a week. Like, that doesn't benefit any of us. It makes all of us look like we're part of the same little like, oh, you're a personal trainer, you must be like,
and you know what's unfortunate? Something that's unfortunate here, and there's really nothing we could do about it except just have higher standards for our industry, is that when you are not educated in a field, like you wouldn't go to like a divorce attorney and try to talk to them all about the law and because you don't know anything about that, right?
Go to your dentist. Oh no, the molar.
Exactly. You are trusting the expert that you know what you're doing, and unfortunately, we're not like lawyers. We're not like dentists. There isn't like this strict, crazy amount of education and rigorous testing to become a trainer. So sadly, pretty much anyone can become a trainer. So there's a lot of BS going around.
Every 22-year-old that likes working out and has a decent physique thinks they're a trainer.
But this is why and you guys listening to this, you're already ahead of the curve because you either train at a place like this, tooting your own horn, but it is what it is. And also, you're listening to this podcast, which means you have an active interest in educating yourself. You'd be surprised how many people don't educate themselves at all. Their education is, oh, I read a caption on Instagram Reels, from my favorite Instagram influencer.
Yeah, this TikToker posted this earlier, and I'm like...
And I just took it face value. Just
as you should.
Sure,
take everything on the internet.
I'll eat grapefruit every morning because it literally burns away your fat.
True. That's
true,
a thing. I've tried the grapefruit technique. Have you tried the grapefruit technique?
The one that, from the lady?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. You tried that before?
We'll post a link.
Yeah, we'll post a link in the video.
Okay, so how to avoid this mistake? First thing I would say is there are two types of goals that you can set. There are outcome goals and there are behavior goals, right? Or habit/behavior, however you want to look at it. An outcome goal is I want to weigh 170 pounds or I want to lose 20 pounds. That's an outcome, something you're trying to get to. That's the most common type. A behavior goal is I want to exercise 4 days a week for 35 minutes.
That's beautiful.
Okay? Why is the behavior better than the outcome goal, in my opinion? Because the outcome is not necessarily in your control. You know how many people we have, you guys know because it's you.
Some of you, yeah.
Yeah, where you're fixated on a certain number on the scale and you need to be at that number. I need to be at this weight. I need to be at this weight. I need to be at this weight. But maybe your body doesn't want to be at that weight. Maybe that was your high school weight, but you're not in high school anymore. You know, you're 46, but you're upset that you can't get to that weight. In other words, it's a little bit out of your control. Weight fluctuates. There's many things that can happen. But you know what is in your control? Your behaviors that you do every single day. I work out 4 days a week for 35 minutes. I make it a point to eat minimally processed foods. I make it a point to eat a few servings of fruits and vegetables every day. Those are behaviors that are in your control. I can control whether I worked out for 35 minutes today, but I can't control what the scale might say tomorrow.
Can't control my thyroid, my hormones,
exactly.
my genetic factors.
And I know a lot of people are thinking like that this is kind of controversial to say because we've been taught like you need a goal, you need a goal, you need a vision, you need that outcome. Like otherwise, why are you doing this for? Why am I working out 35 days? 35 minutes a day? And the reason is because you can set an outcome goal and then kind of forget about it and then just focus on the behavior goal. And I promise you, you're gonna reach the outcome by focusing on the behavior, but not by obsessing over the outcome. I'm not there yet, I'm not there. What that does is it discourages you and then you quit.
The Moby Dick syndrome. You're always chasing that white whale.
Exactly.
And to add to that, another good tip for you guys, which actually goes in perfectly with that is just be patient. Lower your expectations at first and be patient with it. If in your head you say, I wanna lose 20 pounds, say I wanna lose 10. Start little by little, incrementally, what we call micro goals. Set these little micro goals, and then like you said, don't obsess over it. I promise you that it's gonna happen over time if you build those habits. It's just patience, and that's something that in this day and age we have none of because everything is like hyperactive coming at you. Everything is coming at you. You see this Instagram girl that looks really good, and you want to look like her, and I don't look like that yet, so I get frustrated and I eat chocolate. And it's like it all builds up. So just be patient. Set these micro goals. Temper your expectations at the beginning, and I think it's better to have a little bit lower expectations at first.
And be delighted.
You can supersede them and like, oh my God, I feel so good. Like that's better than being upset that I haven't reached my 20-pound goal, which is a lot. 20 pounds is a lot.
For sure. And what fixes all of this, everything we've been talking about, and it's the biggest cliche in fitness, it's a lifestyle. But it's a lifestyle. So instead of me saying, I'm gonna do these things until I reach my 20-pound goal, it's like, I am transforming myself into the type of person who is fit, who exercises, who tries to eat healthy, who tries to be balanced. And then once you have that lifestyle, who cares that it took you a year or two to do a pull-up? It doesn't matter because
time's gonna pass.
I'm working out anyway.
Yeah.
Whether I do my pull-up or not, I'm gonna be working out. Hopefully till I die.
Yeah,
you know?
that's the same as the other cliche. Imagine where you'd be now if you started a year ago. Like the time is gonna pass. That's inevitable. So you might as well do it incrementally rather than beat yourself up and like try to go hard and maybe causes you to stop, and then what? Then the year passed and you haven't done anything.
Exactly. Do you want the year to pass and you're more out of shape? Because if you're not working out, you're not doing anything, you're gonna be more out of shape and more unhealthy. Or do you want a year's worth of progress because you started now?
Even if it's minimal steps you're taking, it's better than no steps.
100%.
And I think the third most common mistake people make is that they're overly ambitious and they try to take on too much too soon. So you haven't worked out for 2 years, especially this is where the men are, I think, more guilty of this. You haven't worked out in two years. You go back, I used to bench 225, so I'm gonna start with a 45 on each side. Like, slow down, cowboy. Like, you're putting yourself at risk here. If you're starting and going that crazy, you have a high risk of injury. You're more likely to disappoint yourself. I feel like you're more likely to burn out, and all these things cause you to stop altogether. So what's the point of going super hard on day one when you could step by step get back into it? And hey, you want to bench 220, you'll get there eventually, but Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was your banging physique, bro. So like, go step by step, take your time. Like that I feel like that's a huge error that people commit, and that's a big error that trainers can commit with people. It's like,
Big time.
Oh yeah, this guy comes in, this guy's strong. All right, dude, you're gonna bench 220, you're gonna do pull-ups. Most people are not primed to do pull-ups. The shoulders are delicate. That guy hasn't worked out in 2 years. You're probably putting him in more harm than good.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. And we can tackle these things one by one. So let's go with the risk of injury first, right? The longer that I've been doing this as a trainer, the more conservative I am when somebody comes in for the first time.
Yep.
In other words, when I was inexperienced and young, I would assume that, yeah, you could probably do some push-ups. You can probably get down there and do some push-ups. Like now it's like, I'm going to assume that you're completely out of shape. And then if you surprise me, oh, wow, you're actually doing this with really good form. Let me push a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But I'm going to assume that why? Because, again, it goes back to the first mistake. If you understand how the body works, the central nervous system, the muscles, you know that if you're sedentary, your body's used to being sedentary. It's not used to going and lifting these heavy weights or doing plyometrics or doing jumps. So what happens is when you have tissue that is untrained and you make it do something that it's not used to, that's when tears happen. That's when injuries happen. That's when extreme soreness that gets you, like you hate yourself for 3 days.
Yeah. You're not gonna
Is
go
that
work
worth
out
it?
if you're feeling so sore you can't stand up or sit down. Last thing you want to do is go to the gym. We know you should be moving your body, but your brain's gonna be like, dude, you can barely walk. What are you doing? Like,
And funny enough, this leads to the last mistake, which is be patient. Or is that this one?
that was the last one.
Okay, so
Temporary
it's
expectations,
the lack of patience because I want these results now.
Yeah.
Like you don't understand. My cruise is in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I can't
Dude,
be taking my
I've
time.
done single arm rows with 60s. Grab me that 50, and then you're doing jerking. You're like, all right, dude. Like, I'd rather start you off light. I start everybody off very light, and I'd rather you tell me that was pretty easy. Oh, okay, perfect. We can move up a little bit, but I'm not gonna have you going crazy in the first week of the gym.
Yeah, it's not worth the risk. It's a huge risk, and like you said, it could be demotivating. I know that sometimes, let's say one of you guys will come to us, and I give you your first workout, and it may not seem like this crazy, intense. Wow, I'm dying, but that's when you have to trust the process and trust that your trainer knows what they're doing because there's a reason we ease you into it.
Yep.
You know, there's such a science to how we're doing it, and it's another reason why we don't like taking in people who have that like set deadline. I'm only here for my wedding. It's like, that's great. I'm gonna get you ready for your wedding. But just so you know, like we encourage this as a lifestyle. I really hope that you continue training and eating healthy after your wedding.
Rarely do they ever.
Yeah, actually I saw a study on that the other day. There's a huge percentage of people that let themselves go completely.
I don't mean after the wedding. I mean like after your goal. If you have like such a
Okay.
static, that's another story.
That's why have you seen that meme? That's like it's like the bride laughing, and it's like now I can get fat.
Yeah. I don't mean that. I mean like if you have a stationary goal, like my cruise. What happens after the cruise? You're not gonna work out anymore? Like that can't be
A lot of people
thing.
aren't. I call that's Julian's marathon theory. That's why I don't like a thing as big and monumental as like running a marathon. Great, it's an amazing goal. But what happens a lot of time is I ran the marathon. I've ran the friggin' marathon.
So
I'm not running. Like I might go for a run here and there, but like now I have nothing to keep me training.
As opposed to making it your
As
lifestyle.
opposed to what I just said, the behavior goal is I'm gonna run 2 times a week.
Whether I have a marathon or
exactly
a wedding
I'm
or
just
the
a
world's
runner
ending,
now.
I just run, like or I just
Exactly.
strength train, Another big part of that whole going too hard too fast is the burnout, and it's something that we saw. Actually, we just started a fitness challenge
I
here.
was just gonna talk about that.
And it's 35 days straight of exercising. But of course, people are trying to game the system, and they're doing 3 or 4 workouts a day, and it's only day 4. So we know, I'm doing 1 a day. Like I'm not joining that. We know the burnout is real. The burnout is serious. It's not only physical, it's mental.
We also know how the body works. So for example, literally none of you listening to this should be doing 2 weight training sessions in the same day. Unless you're on anabolic steroids, your body cannot tolerate that kind of like stress, right? So again, we just sit back because we've been here, done that. We sit back and
we
us
tell
trainers,
them, mind you, we tell them. We're not just sitting back inactive. We tell them, guys, be careful, But
you see that because it's a point system thing, so everybody's trying to get as many points as possible. But 3, 4, 5 days in, your body's gonna be hurting.
Yeah. Day 10, you're not gonna want to do anything, and then that's when people drop off, get discouraged, and that's ultimately what we don't want. We want longevity. We want these things to be a part of your life. Not, I'm going super hard because it's a 35-day challenge. Make it part of your life. Like this should be who you are, not just one little set goal. It should be a series of micro goals that hopefully go on forever.
And I blame a lot of the fitness messaging and just the industry for this because how many times have we heard go hard or go home, no pain, no gain?
That's my least favorite one. No pain, no gain is stupid.
That stuff is dying out a little bit, but you'd be surprised how many people, especially the ones that aren't in the industry, still abide by those rules of like, it has to hurt. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I have to feel like I'm dying.
Yeah.
How many of our clients tell us, I wasn't sore
Is
after
that
yesterday's
bad?
workout? Like, God, I wasn't sore at all.
No, that means that you're either well trained or your trainer did a good job of easing you into these things.
Exactly. You don't need to. Soreness does not necessarily equate to you seeing gains. And as a matter of fact, there's a reason that we don't really, especially in the group classes, we don't really do like a leg day, right? Because if you do a proper leg day, you're probably going to be feeling it for like 3 days after, and it's going to prevent you from doing anything else involving your legs for 3 days. So we prefer like a total body split for most people. Nothing wrong with a splitting the body up like that, but just so you understand that, you know, when you really beat up a muscle group, you're going to be sore as hell, and then it prevents you from being active the next day, which is not good.
It's the same as I have a lot of clients and a lot of people that tell me like, oh, I want to lose this little bit of fat. So if I do abs every day, and I'm like, oh, let me stop right there. There's a big misconception about that because not only can you not spot reduce, we know that. Spot reducing is choosing which areas you want to burn fat just by overtraining it. You can't do that. And B, the core muscles are muscles just like the rest of you. Just because what? Like I don't get the logic because they're smaller. You can do it every day. People are like, oh, I'm gonna do abs every day. Abs need rest too. Your core needs a break. If you're burning out your core, first of all, your core controls your stabilizers. So if you're burnt out here, your form elsewhere is probably gonna suffer. But they need a break too. Like everything, muscles need time to break apart and build back up. Like
that's a great point. And you know what's amazing about like being educated and knowledgeable in this is that you guys are gonna laugh, and the ones that know me already know this, but the minute I learned the way the body works, I personally hate training my abs.
Stop doing abs
all that
altogether.
little floor, all the little flutter kick, and all that stuff. It's like as soon as I knew that I can get away with doing a lot less and still train my core properly, I just stopped doing all that crap. I don't need to do ab circuits. I don't need to do all this crap because I know I'm already hitting my core in either indirect or direct ways that are more efficient, and I can do it less times a week. So guess what? I don't have to do all that shit that you guys hate. You don't have to do it if you understand the way that this works. You can just put together a smarter exercise plan and basically train smarter, not harder.
Yeah, I'll have a client, I told them, dude, we did a lot of core today. He's like, what do you mean? We haven't even done a single like ab exercise. I told him, you did chin-ups, you did farmer's carries, you did back squats, you did pay-offs. You did a shitload of core. You're just not aware because you're not doing little crunches.
And again, I would say that 95% of people who are obsessed about training their core really are just looking to lose their belly fat, which doesn't even happen by training your core, and thereby you are wasting your time for the majority of the time.
And suffering, because that shit sucks.
It sucks. You know, I'm really proud of the way we structured this podcast because as I didn't even realize this when I was writing it, but everything we talked about builds on everything else. Exactly. Like, and everything kind of goes together. You know, it's like the education is important so that you can set expectations and goals, and then you don't want to burn out because if you understand the way the body works, you know that you have to ease it. Like everything just goes hand in hand.
Yeah,
so cool. Yeah, it was a cool little way we did it. Don't make these mistakes. You know, there's a lot more. We wanted to go with just 3 because we like lists.
We do.
You guys do too.
The internet loves lists.
There's a lot more mistakes, but I'd like to know what are some of the mistakes that you think you were making early in your fitness journey, or even that you've made recently. Put them in the comments. I'm sure a lot of people are going to relate to those.
And if you guys have other things you want us to discuss, maybe mistakes you've seen, things you've been told, misconceptions that you might have heard, drop them in the comments. We'd love to talk about it. We're always fascinated by what people that aren't in the industry are seeing or hearing. And with that being said, we'll see you guys next week. Tune in for another episode of... Do we have a name yet?
The BFit Podcast.
The BFit Podcast. BFit Bros, merch, all
That's
that
what
stuff.
I want to change it to.
Coming soon. So...
And sponsors.
Sponsors.
Maybe you guys want to sponsor us? Well, actually, we're sponsored by Miami-Dade Waste and Disposal. That's why we are always mentioning the dump.
We plug the dump a lot.
Yeah, it's because
garbage guys are in great health. They're very fit, so we encourage that. Stay active, folks.
Be a garbage person.
But don't be a garbage person.
Wow. I hope you stuck around to the end to see that.